Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on 10 Minutes of Marketing with Creativit Marketing. My name is Jason, and I'm super excited to be bringing you the first episode of 10 Minutes of Marketing. Really quick, before we get into the episode, I just want to talk about what it is that we're doing here, why it is that we're doing this, and kind of give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about today. So, the 10 minutes of marketing series is basically a series that I came up with to kind of provide small business owners or entrepreneurs a bit more awareness into what marketing is and what marketing pertains to, more so than just advertisement, but we also focus on that as well. So, Creativit Marketing is my marketing agency that I started a few years back, and thankfully, so we've had the luck to work with different kinds of businesses and learn very different things in different industries. So I want to get right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the pyramid content model. Now, for those of you that don't know what the pyramid content model is, it was a concept mainly adapted by Gary Vaynerchuk. If you've heard of him, you can kind of check out his pitch deck on his website that goes into detail on how he formulates his content and how he processes all his content models. I changed up a few things that just work for me and seem to work for my ventures and my social media content. So let's get right into it, right? Let's talk about the model, the actual content pyramid, and how it's formulated and how it works. So the pillars are what kind of keep your structure from falling apart, which in architecture, you can't build something without a base, a solid foundation. So your pillars are your foundation. These are your main topics or pain points that you want to talk about to your audience or that you want to portray to your audience that you have some sort of expertise or knowledge in. So for my content pillars or for Creativit Marketing's content pillars, it would include branding, content creation, social media management, etc. Sit down, kind of come up with what those topics are going to be. And from there, we can move on to long form content or pillar content. I'll refer to them as either or. And if you go on creativitmarketing.com backslash blog, you can actually read our article where we go into a little more detail on what pillar content is. So, long form content is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm creating a 10-minute video or a 10-minute podcast or maybe an hour podcast where I can go in, absorb all of the information that I'm providing or all the value that we're providing. So that's what your long form content does. Now, it could be a blog, it could be a podcast, it could be a video, whatever you want it to be. Just make sure that it's providing a lot of value, more value than you would on a tweet, on an Instagram post, on a story, etc. And talking about those, let's get into micro content. Now, micro content is basically exactly as it sounds from what we're going from pillars to long form, now to micro. It's basically those tweets, those LinkedIn posts, those Instagram posts, maybe carousels or stories. Instagram Reels has now come out and YouTube Shorts is taking over. So I really do suggest that you sit down and kind of formulate a plan on which channels you want to attack first. I do have some resources on how to go about figuring out what channels to be on depending on your industry, depending on your business model. So you might want to also check that out on our website. But micro content is going to be those pieces of content that don't necessarily create all of this awareness, but they provide those little bits of value or information within that long form content piece that you did. And maybe it drives clients or customers. The way you want everything to go is you want people to see your micro content, and from your micro content be interested to see the long form content, and from the long form content be interested to be in business with you. And that's technically the goal. Now, we would love for people that see our micro content to go directly upwards and maybe go straight for the sale, but in any case, our idea is to make sure that people are going from our micro content to our long form content, and then we can kind of introduce them the company values and pillars and what we want to solve within the range or the scope that they're looking for, right? So I talked about each one of these. So what a brand pillar is, what pillar content is, you have what micro content is as well. And now I kind of just want to talk about some useful tips for creating content. So if you have a pen and paper available or your phone, pull it out and kind of take some notes on these, because they're very important on a micro level, but kind of add up. Doing these things consecutively, you'll see results in the long run with your strategy or your content model. So the first tip that I have is batching your content, right? So why do we want to batch our content? Why do we want to sit down for maybe 6 to 8 hours, 2 days a week, and create content for a month? Well, one, it's going to save us time. If we're doing this once a month or maybe once every 2 weeks, well, now we don't have to create content within that time space, and we have the ability to chase other business opportunities and grow our business further. So you definitely want to batch your content. Like I said, we go with a strategy of batching content for about a month if possible. We'll definitely tweak and go in and change some messaging or copy if we have to, maybe add in some posts. But for the most part, we batch our content and know what we're going to be posting about a month ahead. Now, number two, repurpose everything possible. This really goes back to the content pyramid model and the purpose that it serves. And it's to repurpose every piece of content available for your audience. Because at the end of the day, you posting a YouTube video or a podcast isn't going to reach all of the people that you would reach if you take that podcast or video and cut it up into tweets and then cut it up into Facebook post or a carousel post. You're reaching a bigger audience, you're distributing through more channels, and therefore growing your business at a faster rate than you would going about it through one single channel. Now, like I said, do your research, make sure the channels that you're posting on are beneficial to your business. Not all of them are, but if they are, chase it and make sure that you're repurposing so that you're not putting more work onto yourself. Number three, this one is probably the most important on the list. And the reason it's not number one is because I really wanted to work through everything that you need to get started today to not be able to doubt yourself and get into it. And prioritizing your time is one of those things that if you don't do it, you'll never do it. And you'll either fall behind or you'll see yourself kind of not be or get to where you want to get to. So that's very important to prioritize your time, keep a calendar, track everything possible. And this way you'll avoid falling behind. Number four, be organized. Now, I'm sorry if I'm rushing through this a little bit, guys, but I do want to keep it within the 10-minute range. And being organized when it comes to business is probably one of those things that's free, but it is so beneficial because in the long run, it'll pay off. So you should definitely be organized. Be organized in how you keep your content, in how you write your copy and everything. I've seen mistakes happen, very big mistakes with very big companies where just because someone wasn't organized, they lost a lot of clientele or they lost a lot of business. And this is something that we want to avoid at all costs when making money, when making our living. So be as organized as possible and just try to implement systems into where everything doesn't have to become repetitive, but automated, right? So when you create content with a content model, you know, I have to create one podcast a week, but then I have to split that podcast into 10 tweets, 3 carousels, and maybe 4 LinkedIn posts. Well, now you know that you have to do that every week. So just create a system around that, have the formats completed, have the system completed. Now, lastly, I want to go over using the Facebook Manager. Now, I know I'm going over a little bit of the 10 minutes, but using the Facebook Manager is so important because of the tools that the Facebook Manager provides. Guys, I really want to get into the fact that the system rewards you for using its features in any given case, right? If you're on Instagram and you're posting IGTVs, reels, lives, you're doing all these things, you're seeing traction, you're gaining the momentum that you should be. And if you're not, well, maybe you should look at what's not working and tweak that. But for the most part, using all the features provides benefit to the user. So use Facebook Manager to schedule your Facebook and Instagram posts. You can schedule stories, you can schedule regular content posts, you can schedule carousels. So I suggest taking advantage of this, because at the end of the day, Facebook is going to see that you're using all of their platforms and kind of give you a little boost in that. So keep that in mind, guys. Okay. That wraps up our 10 minutes of marketing, a little bit over 10 minutes, but I appreciate you guys staying with us. If you have any comments, any ideas, any feedback on what we went over here today, I'd be more than glad to talk over. So please comment, like, subscribe, share this as much as possible. And finally, if you're looking to work with a digital marketing agency, here's the contact information for us. We'd be happy to help you guys out. We'd be happy to discuss and talk about things that we can solve for you. So, again, my name's Jason. You guys have a great day and stay creative.